Hello, our weekend debates looking around the different constituencies and, Douglas East. Here we go. So, Claire Barber, Jodie Fargo, Peter Gilmore, Michael Josem, John Jochen, Christian Urquhart and Amanda Walker. So, starting with Claire Barber, strong time she's had, I think. It's fair to say.
I'll be hugely disappointed if Claire doesn't get back in. I expect that she will. She's worked incredibly hard. We didn't always agree on things, but that's the healthy bit about politics. But I respect her enormously, and I think in the next House she'll contribute significantly. So I wish her absolutely well.
I can't see any situation where she doesn't get elected, if I'm honest. I think, personally speaking, she's very good on the night, been a very good MHK, and I honestly think the rest are fighting for the second seat.
That's interesting. And a future Chief Minister, if it all goes to plan?
Oh, well, that's back to this Chief Minister thing that you've got.
Don't yell at me.
Look, no. It's not the key issue all the time. Claire's contribution in the next House will be significant. Whether or not ultimately she's a Chief Minister in future Houses is a matter for the future.
Okay. Jodie Fargo.
Probably your argument against party politics again will come into it, but I think...
it's because it's Manx Labour Party, right?
Yeah, but I think Manx Labour Party has established itself very well in the past 18 months, 2 years, and Jodie Fargo and Sarah Mobley, who we'll get to later, have been the front of that. I think she's a very strong candidate for the area. I think she's got a clear manifesto, and interestingly, the other night there was a debate on... They were asked a question about raising... no, it wasn't. It was Douglas South. I'll come to that later. Okay. I've just realised what I've got lost in constituencies.
Yeah.
But no, I thought she was very good, and I think she could easily... To be honest, there's 5 or 6. Or, how many candidates are there? There's 6.
7.
There's 6 who could easily win that second seat.
Oh, I see, yeah.
But I thought she was very good, and I think she spoke very well, and there's not a lot else you can say about it, really.
Does the Labour Party have that oomph, though? Do people go on the vote, or do they go for the person?
I'm going to contradict myself in a similar way that Sam challenged me over party politics. That I think Jodie has got something, and I think I might ignore the party policy side of it in order to get her voice in as a coherent contribution to the balance of views in Tynwald, because you've always got to have that in mind. I think it's awfully important in Keys to have challenge and robust debate. You guys have followed them well enough to know that actually a good debate can change opinions, and I think her voice would contribute.
Okay. Peter Gilmore, IT specialist, e-gaming, that sort of thing he's done. Do you know much about him? Not
a great deal.
Okay.
Spoke very well tonight. Traded a little bit of an exchange with Michael Joseph at one point. There's a comment Joseph made about how he cycles around and walks around, and Mr. Gilmore made a comment about how that'll be offset when he flies back to Australia, which didn't come across brilliantly in the room. I think there was a couple of comments between candidates on the night which they came across as cheap shots, which I don't think landed.
Well, I think when any candidate starts taking pops at another candidate, it always works against them, however clever, smart, or accurate they are, because really you should always respect those people who stand alongside you. I think it takes courage to stand at all, to put yourself out there, and I think it's for the electorate to decide themselves, not for individual candidates to try to discredit others. It's just the way I think our system works.
But then just to counter that, of course, if we're looking at what is the future of the arms economy, e-gaming, and its inevitable decline has been on the cards now for ever since it started.
Yeah.
So maybe it isn't going away as everyone assumes. I imagine it will shrink at some point and other things will come forward. So again, if you want an expert in the area in Tynwald, he's your man.
Well, Michael Josem, who has worked in that business, the e-gaming, certainly seems to be getting traction on social media, and I'm not saying it's all been positive either. It's been quite a roller coaster for Michael Josem. You got any opinions about him?
All I would say there is I think transparency is an incredibly important issue.
Are you talking about his funding business then?
And I think candidates, once you stand, it's you have to be an open book and be honest and clear and explicit about everything. And if there's a suggestion or a suspicion you're not, that won't resonate well in terms of once you're in there, then calling for more transparency in government, which is very, very...
But he has said if he gets in, he would remove himself from the Taxpayers Alliance thing, so...
Yes, but now is the time for him to be transparent. Right. He's standing, he's asking people... In the end, the issue of standing for keys is, will people trust you enough to vote for you? And trust requires an absolute openness and honesty.
I don't want to talk about Max Taxpayers Alliance anymore, to be honest. It's something I've had an endless number of conversations with people about. I think, in his own right, good speaker, good candidate, knew his brief very well, knew his topics very well, and he's a very engaging speaker. He's somebody who, you can see it with him, that he knows how to not necessarily work a room, but that's kind of what I'm basically saying, isn't it? And I think he's very good at that and holding an audience attention, and it'll be interesting to see what the people think of him.
John Jochen, of course, has been in NMHK, hasn't he? Didn't have a lot. How long did he have there? Just a by-election?
Sure, it was a by-election and then didn't get back in at the general election.
Your views, then?
Not a great deal to say, really. I mean, I think he's contributed significantly in the Douglas Council. Whether that translates, I'm not sure I necessarily agree. I think that Sam's points about members emanating from Douglas Council was a little bit sort of tongue-in-cheek, but I don't think it holds good necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, he's somebody to me who's stronger on policy than he is on message. I think his policies, when you read them, are quite thought out and quite thorough. I just think he isn't the best at explaining his policies, which, in front of a live room, in front of an audience, some people are better than others. What will matter, I think, with Mr. Jochen is how good he has been on the doorstep and how well his experience in Douglas Council and his experience in Keys before and his message comes across with people when he meets them.
All right. Christine Urquhart.
I think that she has a certain an interesting focus.
You're choosing your words carefully.
Well, I thought I always did.
Yeah, but there's long pauses there.
Oh, I think she's worth focusing on.
Mm-hmm. Victim support and all that sort of stuff, isn't it? As well, particularly she's.
I sort of tried to translate into how a voice would appear in Keys and the contribution it would make, and I think she has something that could develop there.
I think she's an incredibly strong personality, and she obviously has to be an incredibly strong woman. There'd be an element where you could think somebody coming in with her life experiences, which we can't really go in too much around at the minute. You could easily think that they'd only have one issue, and she clearly doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
She's got a range of areas she wants to contribute to. What I liked, actually, weirdly, the other night was a question she didn't answer, which I thought was great. Because I can't remember what the question was. It was on something. I think it was on greener living and how we transitioned to. And she honestly said, "Look, I don't know enough about that. I would want to learn more about that before."
It's quite refreshing when you hear people say that.
And you going, "I liked it. I liked that somebody stood up and went, I don't know," because it comes across to me better than here's something that I can garble together in 35 seconds. It sounds like a genuine person.
It's great because I remember myself, and you feel you have to say something almost. That's the trouble. You're being put in the question that you have no idea what to really say, but you have to say something. But it's better to just say nothing, isn't it?
I think she'd perform well in Keys.
Ah, okay. And Amanda Walker. Now it's the second time, of course, standing for Amanda Walker.
I don't know Amanda particularly well. I don't know whether Sam's got any. Were you at the
I wasn't Douglas speaking. I thought she spoke very well. And there was a weird thing you'd have to go back and watch on one of the questions between her and the lady who asked the question. They seemed to know each other, which I'm not entirely sure what happened there, to be honest. There was a bit of a back and forth with a member of the audience. But I think as a whole, she was very good in education, has a clear idea of what she'd want to do, and passed that test to me of somebody you could see being in Keys.
Because education's...
She does or she doesn't?
She does.
Okay.
And education's her background, isn't it?
Yes, it is. She's a teacher. Yes.
Okay. And I was just looking there, because we have 4 women, 3 men. So that's good. Interesting, isn't it? The breakdown. But that's for another day, about talking about equalities and that sort of thing. So we'll have more in another section.